For a brief but very eventful few months at the end of last year, the Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland areas were plagued by the emergence of a new serial killer. A killer that used a shopping cart to carry his victims to his dumping ground. Let me start off by saying that when I make videos about Japanese cases, a lot of people tend to ask me how I was able to learn a new language. I learned through a lot of traditional means, but I also used a lot of apps along the way. When it comes to language apps, Babbel is simply one of the best out there. One of the most important things when it comes to learning a language is conversation practice. When you're not in the country, it can be difficult to come across. Babbel helps by teaching through using real-life language and dialogue with lessons written by real-life teachers. After 3 weeks throughout these 10 to 15 minute lessons, you can already get started speaking your new language. You can decide how you want to learn the language by using podcasts, games, live classes, and more. You could learn it for work, learn it for travel, or even just learn it for fun. Babbel goes the extra mile by intertwining teachings about the culture in with the language, like holidays, traditions, food, stuff like that. See where it takes you, and I think you'll be surprised. I've been all around Asia and North America, but I've never been to Europe. I've always wanted to visit Istanbul, and I'd like to be able to speak when I do, so I've been messing around with learning Turkish. So let me say hello to all the Turks out there. Merhaba. Check out Babbel's offer in the description below to get 65% off of your subscription. There's also a 20-day money-back guarantee, so thank you to Babbel for sponsoring this video. It's said that at any one given time, there's about 25 to 50 active serial killers throughout the United States, just out there on the prowl looking for their next victim. Well, just recently at the end of 2021, one of these serial killers was caught, arrested, and eventually charged. But let's go back to the beginning. It was the night of November 23rd last year in 2021. The bodies of 2 women were discovered and later identified. They were Eileen Elizabeth Redmond, age 54, of Harrisonburg, Virginia, and Tonita Loris Smith, age 39, of Charlottesville, Virginia. Eileen Redmond, who went by Beth, was a grandmother who was putting her life back together after the death of her husband. She went missing back in late October. She had told her family that she was going to watch a football game at Howard Johnson on Linda Lane in Harrisonburg. She mentioned that she was going with a friend named Aunt. Her daughter had never heard that name before. Tonita Smith was the mother of 6 children. Her family has set up a GoFundMe account to help with ongoing expenses related to the tragedy. Harrisonburg and Charlottesville police were each separately searching for both of the women when, at the end of the search, both investigations were drawn to an empty lot near Linda Lane in Alexandria, Virginia, where both of their bodies were found. They were both found in the same open, vacant, overgrown lot close to a nearby hotel, only a short distance away from each other. However, it was noted that they had died at different times. This obviously is not a good sign. Not only had someone killed 2 women, but they had killed on 2 separate occasions. And they were brazen enough to come back and dump the second body in the same spot as the first. The officials working the case believed that they had a genuine serial killer on their hands, a very rare case. The police went to the nearby hotel, called the Moon Inn, and asked to see the surveillance footage from the security cameras, in hopes that they would find something relevant to the case. Luckily, they did. Security camera footage and later cell phone data found a single suspect that could be seen with both Redmond and Smith prior to their untimely deaths. The owner of the hotel went on to provide the police with a giant plastic bag full of receipts, showing them everyone that had stayed in the hotel within the past few months. Their suspect became a 35-year-old man named Anthony Eugene Robinson, and he was soon caught and arrested. It was believed that he had met both of the women online and invited them out to the hotel, where he later killed them, threw them into a shopping cart, and dumped them in the vacant lot. He was, surprisingly, a man with no criminal record whatsoever. He was, however, homeless a lot of the time, living a transient lifestyle. He had lived in several different states just in the preceding couple of years alone. He was known to have lived in Washington, D.C., Prince George's County in Maryland, and New York as well. He transported the bodies of these women in a shopping cart, said one of the detectives working on the case to news outlets. This quickly led to Robinson being dubbed the shopping cart killer. The police then described the killer's MO as dating sites, motels, blunt force trauma, shopping cart, final resting place. The details of their deaths, besides the blunt force trauma line, have not been released. All that would be said on the matter was, "Our shopping cart killer does unspeakable things with his victims," said by the Fairfax County Police Chief. "He preys on the weak, he preys on the vulnerable."
A family in mourning after the loss of their mother, grandmother, daughter, and sister, 54-year-old Aline Elizabeth Redman, also known as Beth. 8 News spoke with her daughter, Jessica May.
I'll never be able to smell her again. I'll never be able to hear her voice again. Like, it's the worst thing that anybody could ever go through. And it's terrible. Right before the holidays, and just knowing that I'll never speak to my mom again, it's just a feeling that I just can't even describe. I don't understand how anybody can take somebody's life. I feel really sad because I know that there's other people out there that are going through the same thing, the same feeling.
They continued digging through thousands of receipts for the Moon Inn. They found that Robinson stayed at the hotel on at least 5 other occasions, and that was something that obviously raised some concerns. He seems to go to that particular hotel specifically to kill people, so more stays probably means more victims. Several other jurisdictions all across Northern Virginia began investigating to see if Robinson might have had anything to do with any of their unsolved crimes or missing persons cases. By the beginning of December, Robinson was still being held at jail. He was set to be held without bail at a Rockingham-Harrisonburg jail in Harrisonburg for the time being. The charges against him consisted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 felony counts of concealing, transporting, or altering a dead body. This is when the stories of 2 other women came into play. The family of a woman named Cheyenne Brown, located in Southeast, were getting more and more worried about her. She left behind her 7-year-old son and was currently pregnant with her next child when she suddenly went missing one day. "We're extremely worried. Extremely," said her mother, choking down tears as she struggled to get the words out. "I just want my daughter to come home."
We're extremely worried. Extremely.
As far as her family knew, the last time she was seen was when she hopped on a metro bus near her home. Since then, they hadn't heard a word. She wasn't there for Thanksgiving, but they held out hope that she would come back for Christmas. On November 20th, the police in Washington, D.C. decided to contact the police in Harrisonburg and inform them about Brown's case. The police in Harrisonburg were able to find out that cell phone data and surveillance footage from the hotel revealed that, you guessed it, Robinson and Brown were at that hotel together on the night of her disappearance. A large-scale, coordinated effort then began between the Washington, D.C. police and the Harrisonburg police. Upon hearing about this, Brown's cousin said that he believed he saw Robinson with Brown in her home about 10 days before she went missing. For unknown reasons, but seemingly after some sort of confrontation, the cousin said that he had forced Robinson to leave the home. About 1 day later, he saw him at the house again, and again he made him leave.
I seen him over here like a day later, and I did the same thing, put him out again.
Since then, he hadn't seen him again. Police found that Robinson had been in fairly constant contact with Brown throughout those days, having met her on a dating site. Another woman named Stephanie Harrison, age 48, of Redding, California, was staying at the Moon Inn at one of the same times that Robinson was staying there. Robinson and Stephanie were luckily staying in separate rooms at the hotel, and they very likely did not know each other, as Harrison wasn't even from the area and wasn't going to be there for very long. Her sister, Joey Harrison, said that Stephanie flew all the way from California out to D.C. to do some sightseeing. She suffered from a case of schizophrenia, but was traveling on her own. She checked into the Moon Inn in Fairfax County in August of 2021, and then she was never seen again. Then, on the 15th of December, the police would go on to state that 2 more women had been found dead near the hotel. They were found in a wooded area tucked away into a large plastic container in the 2400 block of Fairhaven Avenue in Alexandria. It wasn't far from the Moon Inn Hotel, and again, a shopping cart was found nearby. The remains had been there for a long time, and they were, let's just say, hard to identify based on their appearance. But still, the police released the names of who they believed the victims to be, and yes, they were Cheyenne Brown and Stephanie Harrison. The shopping cart killer had struck again. Before he was arrested, that is. Stephanie had been in the container for so long that the state of decomposition left it very hard to even tell who she was. Cheyenne Brown had been in there for quite some time as well, but she was able to be tentatively identified by a unique tattoo that she had. They were confident on her identity alone, at least. 2 days later, on the 17th of December, the Fairfax County Police Chief, Kevin Davis, and the Harrisonburg Police Chief, Kelly Warney, along with several other officers, held a presentation, providing details of the serial killings that they had on hand. They broadcast the presentation on Facebook Live, of all places, where they stated that they had used DNA evidence to conclusively prove that the victims were indeed Cheyenne Brown and Stephanie Harrison, and they were able to link Robinson to both of their deaths. Brown's death left her 7-year-old son without a mother, and not only that, it prevented his younger sibling from being born as well. Her mother wanted to make her personality known, saying that she had a huge heart, was very trusting, and thought of everyone as her friend. In many cases, these traits would be considered to be a positive thing, but in this case, those personality traits may have been her downfall.
Monster. Like, who are you? What kind of person would do that to anybody, let alone just vulnerable women? I think I would want to ask him, why my daughter? Why these other women? It's not just my daughter that, I'm feeling for. It's the other women that, he, have done, possibly done this to.
Stephanie Harrison's daughter told the investigators that her mother was a very loving mother and an even better grandmother, saying she was the kindest person and helped everyone and would give you her last dime.
When I think about my sister, I think about the life she lived. She was beautiful, vibrant.
The reason that the police pretty immediately took to the public to reveal the details of this case was pretty simple. They believed that there could easily be more victims out there. They thought back to exactly how many times Robinson had stayed at that hotel. Now it was at least 6 times that they knew of. They didn't even know if he had possibly been going to other hotels as well. They were looking for anyone in the area who met him or who had talked to him or especially had visited him at the Moon Inn. Records indicate Robinson stayed at the hotel the one day that Brown went missing, as well as on 5 other occasions, Davis said. Detectives also want to talk to anyone who met him in the area or stayed with him at the Moon Inn. As these 2 victims were only discovered recently, they had a very legitimate fear that they were going to keep uncovering more. And unfortunately, they did. While in the midst of their investigation in January, the detectives got a tip about another murdered woman that had been discovered in Washington, D.C. Her name was Sonia Champ, and she was a D.C. resident. Her remains were found covered by a blanket in, you guessed it, a shopping cart. The DC detectives working on that case believed that she could easily be tied to the shopping cart killer as well, given the circumstances. This is based on digital evidence that puts him in the same vicinity around the time of the victim's disappearance, said the detectives. Sonia's mother is glad to have some closure when it comes to her missing daughter, but the revelation that her disappearance was very likely tied to a serial killer doesn't exactly make her feel better. She later spoke out on the news about exactly how she felt.
I'm gonna be honest, I was mad crazy. I was, because it wasn't no closure at first because I didn't know what happened to her. Now I have closure. It devastated me. I want to talk to him, to be honest with you. I have to be a face-to-face thing with me. I have a lot to say because you took my child. A lot. For no reason. She wasn't yours to be taken and you took her from me.
In mid-January, Chief Davis said that Robinson was indeed the primary suspect in this case as well, but had not been charged with anything related to it yet. He does anticipate charges in the future, though. The owner of the Moon Inn, a man named Nasir Waji, would later go on to be interviewed by the press. He understandably is not happy with the way that things have turned out.
It's very, very terrifying. It's very dangerous. And I have complained for my own employees. They are not safe. They are scared. Some customer right now, if they see the police just in the street, they're scared.
He says that the ongoing pandemic has already cut down on business enough to make things difficult. But now, due to this ongoing investigation and the public knowledge that a serial killer was offing his victims on the property, business has come to a grinding halt. Nasser is worried that the case might involve even more victims and that any day now another body is going to be discovered near the hotel. He's trying to sell off the property now, but, well, I think we all know how hard that's going to be given the circumstances. Anthony Robinson is still behind bars, rotting away in jail, but even despite that, it's quite possible that more victims are going to be discovered at any time now. It's evident that he has been active going back as far as at least August. He's been living all over multiple cities throughout multiple states, and it's unknown if the Moon Inn was his only stomping ground. And unfortunately, that's as far as the story goes now. We're all caught up. Time will tell when it comes to learning exactly how many people Robinson has killed in total. He's lived all over the place, and it seems pretty odd that he would just start up in August and go nuts out of nowhere. So stick with this channel if you want to hear about any possible updates coming in the future. The police have said that Robinson used the dating apps Plenty of Fish and Tag to find his victims, noting that he met at least one of the victims, Cheyenne Brown, on one of those apps. He isn't above meeting his victims spontaneously in person either, given that he met Stephanie Harrison, a tourist from California staying at the hotel, and killed her as well. The Fairfax County investigators have been in contact with at least 35 other law enforcement departments throughout the surrounding regions to find out whether or not any of their unsolved cases could be linked to the shopping cart killer as well. The officials are asking anyone who has come in contact with Robinson to call the Major Crimes Bureau. I have their number up on the screen right now. You can also submit your tips anonymously via Crime Stoppers. Their number is up there as well. You can also text this number on screen and type FCCS to submit a tip if you prefer that method. Once again, thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. It helps it to get seen by other people, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more cases like this. If you want to support the channel even further, I do have a Patreon, which I keep linked in the description below. And speaking of which, shout out to the top patrons. We have Rick Torres, Farius, Tang, Sash Johnson, Marianne McCurdy, Jewel G, Wafrans, Jules Latona, Arctic Cat, Alan Damiani, Adrian Lawley, David McLaughlin, Marsh, Buffazerk, Lonro, Jewel Movchan, Kim Peak, Lux Alpaca, Charity, Skooky Maine, Jackie, Teresa Ferguson, and Mark Barnett. You guys are fantastic. And once again, a shout out to Babbel for sponsoring this video. Remember to check out the link in the description below to get 65% off of your subscription. Thank you, and good night.